Ethan Hayes had mastered the art of disappearing in plain sight. Every morning, he boarded the 7:14 train from Eastbridge Station. Same carriage, same seat, same coffee from the vendor who never remembered him. Life had become a loop, safe, quiet, predictable. The kind of routine you fall into when you've given up expecting anything extraordinary to happen. But something inside him, something deeply buried, still hoped for something more. He just didn't know what more looked like. On a cold Thursday morning, that more appeared in the form of a stranger who looked like she'd stepped out of a dream, or a nightmare she was trying desperately to escape. She sat directly opposite him, a green notebook clutched in her hands, a soft, trembling exhale she tried to hide. Eyes that looked like they held 1,000 unsent words. Ethan didn't stare. Not at first. But then she wiped away a tear. That got his attention. She noticed him noticing and gave a half smile, an apology for breaking down in public. "Rough morning?" he asked. His voice was warm, careful, as if afraid she might shatter. "You could say that," she whispered. "I'm Amelia." "I'm Ethan," he said. A single moment. Barely a minute. But it felt like the train had suddenly shifted onto a different track, fate redirecting itself through their accidental meeting. They rode in silence for a while, not awkward silence, just the kind that happens when two souls recognize something familiar in each other. Then the train jolted. Her notebook slipped from her hands, fell open on the floor, pages fluttering. Ethan bent to pick it up and couldn't help seeing what was written in bold handwriting across the top of the exposed page. "Letter 28, for when I'm gone?" Before he could stop himself, he looked up at her, startled. Amelia quickly grabbed the notebook, cheeks flushing. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" he asked gently. She hesitated, her voice cracking just a little. "Letters I don't plan to send. Just things I need to say out loud, but not to people who'd understand." Ethan nodded. Sometimes writing is the only place where honesty doesn't hurt. She blinked. Something in that sentence got to her. The train slowed for her stop. "It was nice meeting you," she whispered. He looked at her and said, "I hope tomorrow is better," and he meant it. She stepped off the train, and the doors closed behind her. As the train pulled away, Ethan felt a strange tug in his chest. He didn't know why. He just knew her sadness stayed with him. Ethan expected to see her the next morning. He didn't, or the next, or the next. By the fourth day, he found himself scanning every carriage window as the train approached the station, irritated at himself for caring, irritated that he felt the absence of someone he barely knew. On Friday, as the train arrived at his stop, he stood to leave, and a folded piece of paper fluttered down from above, landing on his lap. He looked up. No one was there. The paper had his name on it. "Ethan Hayes, open when you're home." A chill crawled up his spine. How did she know his last name? He sat on the edge of his couch, staring at the sealed envelope. His heart thudded. He opened it carefully. The handwriting was unmistakable. Amelia's. "Ethan, if you're reading this, then I need your help. Don't try to find me. Don't tell anyone about this. You were the only person who noticed." Below was an address, a date, a time. Tonight? Ethan stood. His hands shook. He didn't know why he felt so compelled, why this stranger mattered. But something in that letter felt urgent, fragile, wrong. He grabbed his keys. He had to go. The address led him to a small coastal town he'd never heard of. The streets were lined with old cottages and flickering street lamps. Fog curled around the houses like cautious fingers. The house he was looking for sat at the end of a narrow road. It had white paint peeling and an overgrown garden, and a freshly painted blue door. When he knocked, it creaked open. "Amelia?" he called. There was just silence. Inside, the house looked abandoned. except for the hundreds of letters covering the walls, tables, and floors. Some in sealed envelopes, some torn open, all written in Amelia's handwriting. Letter 3, to myself. Letter 11, to the day I should left. Letter 20, to the stranger who smiled at me. Letter 46, for when I finally disappear. Letter 67, to the person I wish I could become. Letter 84, I'm sorry. Letter 99, please let this be over. Ethan felt something cold settle in his chest. Then he saw the photograph. A man standing beside Amelia. The man looked exactly like Ethan. Not similar, identical. His breath caught. Before he could process what he was seeing, a voice behind him whispered, "You must be Ethan." Ethan turned. In the doorway stood a woman in her 60s, fragile, eyes swollen from years of crying. "I'm sorry," Ethan stammered. "I shouldn't be here. I got a letter." "I know," she said softly. "She said you might come someday. Is Amelia here? Is she okay?" The woman's face tightened with sorrow. "Amelia died 3 years ago." The world seemed to tilt. "That's not possible," Ethan whispered. "I saw her. I talked to her just days ago." Her mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "She's gone, Ethan. She took her life 3 years ago, just after her fiancé died." She pointed at the man in the photograph. "He was named Michael. He looked very much like you." Ethan stared at the picture again. His stomach churned. "I don't understand," he whispered. Her mother handed him a sealed, aged envelope. "Before she died, she wrote one last letter. She made me promise to give it to someone named Ethan Hayes, if he ever came looking." His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He opened the envelope. Inside was a long letter. Hands trembling, he began reading. "Ethan, if you ever exist for me in this timeline, it means fate is reaching across the divide again. I don't know if you are the Ethan from my dreams, or the I wished existed, or the Ethan from the life I was supposed to live." He kept reading. "There's a version of my life where you saved me, a version where you held my hand on a train platform, a version where you became my reason to stay. If you found this letter, please go to the lighthouse. 11:37 p.m. I'll be there. Or the version of me who still exists somewhere will be. Signed, Amelia." He looked at the time. 11:19 p.m. He ran. The coastal wind howled as he reached the lighthouse. Waves crashed against the cliffs. Lightning streaked across the sky. He pushed the door open and climbed the spiraling stairs 2 at a time, breath ragged. At the top, the storm illuminated the room in flashes of white, and she stood there. "Amelia? Alive? Real? Breathing?" "Amelia?" he whispered, stunned. She smiled softly, sadly. "You came." I don't understand," Ethan said breathlessly. "They told me you were—" "I know," she whispered. "But I'm not the Amelia from here." He froze. "What does that mean?" Amelia stepped closer. "Time doesn't move in straight lines. Not for everyone. Some people leave ripples. Some lives echo across versions. You're the echo I wasn't supposed to hear." "I saw your letters," Ethan said. "I saw him. The man who looks like me." "Yes," she whispered. "He was you, but also not you." He swallowed hard. "What do you want from me?" She wiped away a tear. "Nothing. Just to say goodbye properly. In one timeline you saved me. In this one you shouldn't. If you do, your life breaks instead of mine." Lightning flashed. Thunder cracked. She stepped back. "Ethan, you were the gentlest part of my story." And then she vanished, like a candle snuffed out. Ethan collapsed. When he came to, the storm had stopped. The lighthouse was empty. He raced back to the house with the blue door. Gone, Completely gone. As if it had never existed. Locals insisted no such house had ever been there. No Amelia. No Michael. No letters. Except the notebook in his backpack. One page had changed. Thank you for finding me. Now go live your life, signed, Amelia. Ethan didn't sleep for 72 hours. How could he? He kept replaying the impossibility in his mind. Amelia had died 3 years ago. And yet he had spoken to her days ago, hours ago at the lighthouse. Or a version of her. He tried to convince himself it was a hallucination brought on by stress or grief he didn't know he carried. But the notebook, her notebook, was real. He had touched it, read it. He had felt her hand when she touched his face. Real wasn't even the right word anymore. There had to be something bigger going on, something that broke the rules of life as he understood them. By the 4th day, Ethan tried to resume normal life. Work, coffee, train, routine, but something was wrong. The notebook he kept in his backpack, the one from the vanished house, was changing. Pages he had read were different when he looked again. Messages shifted slightly. Some were longer. Some had sentences that seemed to appear from nowhere, as if written recently. On Tuesday night, he opened it and found a fresh page with new ink. You're not supposed to feel guilty. You didn't fail me. You helped the version of me who needed saving. Signed, Amelia. He flipped the page. Blank. Another flip. Another blank. Then suddenly, please stop looking for me. Another page. I don't belong in your timeline. Another. You're in danger every time you get close to me. Ethan closed the notebook with shaking hands. Whatever this was, it wasn't innocent. Thursday morning, 7:14 a.m., Ethan stepped onto the train out of habit. Halfway down the carriage, his heart stopped. She was sitting in the same seat as the first day he'd met her. Amelia, except not. This Amelia looked slightly different. Her hair shorter, her face more confident. No trembling hands, no visible sadness. This Amelia looked like she slept well. Like she wasn't carrying 1,000 unsent goodbyes. She didn't even glance at him, as if he were a stranger. As if they had never met. As if they weren't connected in ways he couldn't explain. Ethan approached cautiously. Amelia? She looked up, blinking in polite confusion. Sorry? Do I know you? His chest tightened. You don't know who I am? No, she said with a friendly but detached smile. Should I? He stepped back. This wasn't his Amelia. This wasn't the Amelia who had cried in front of him. This wasn't the Amelia who had written him letters across timelines. This one didn't know him. And yet, beside her on the seat was the same green notebook. The same one. Except when she closed it, the cover wasn't green. It was blue. Different Amelia, different notebook, different timeline. Everything inside him whispered, something is wrong. Ethan sat across from her, trying not to stare. But Amelia, this version, seemed unaware of the weight the moment carried. She noticed him watching and smiled. I'm not crying today, so you don't have to worry about me, she joked. Ethan froze. How did you know I'd... Why would you say that? Just a bad joke, she laughed. People usually only notice me when I'm falling apart. He swallowed. This was too similar, too close, too connected, but wrong. So wrong. Is your notebook full of letters, too? He asked carefully. She tilted her head. Letters? No, it's just my sketchbook. Sketchbook. Not letters. Different life. Different timeline. Same face. Ethan rubbed his temples. Amelia noticed his distress. Are you okay? He tried to smile. Failed. I'm not sure. She considered him a moment, then closed her blue notebook. Well, if you need someone to talk to, I'm a very good listener. That hit him like a punch to the chest. His Amelia had said almost the exact same thing the first time they talked. This was torture. When she got off the train, she accidentally left her blue notebook behind. Amelia, your notebook. But she was already lost in the crowd. Ethan held it in his hands, heart racing. Should he open it? He didn't want to violate her privacy. But this wasn't the Amelia he knew. And the universe had dragged him into something he didn't understand. He slowly opened it. It wasn't a sketchbook. It wasn't a journal. It was a map. Pages filled with diagrams, symbols he didn't recognize, coordinates, dates, drawings of a lighthouse, drawings of cliffs, drawings of him. And on one page, a message scrawled violently across the paper. You were supposed to stay away. Ethan's breath caught. The handwriting, he recognized it. It wasn't this Amelia's. It was his Amelia's, the one who had died. This was her handwriting. In this Amelia's notebook, his vision blurred with fear and confusion. What was happening? What did these symbols mean? Why was the lighthouse drawn 50 times in different shapes and sizes? Then he turned to the last page and froze. There was a drawing of Amelia, standing in the lighthouse. Behind her, a shadow, a silhouette. It was Ethan. And beneath it, written in slanted ink, this is where you vanished. That night, Ethan laid the blue notebook and the green notebook side by side on his kitchen table. He compared handwriting. He compared dates. He compared symbols. Nothing made sense. Except one thing. One of the Amelias, the one from the lighthouse, had somehow reached into the notebooks of a different Amelia. Why? A knock on the door made him jump. He opened it cautiously. Nobody there. Just an envelope on the welcome mat. His name on it. He picked it up. Inside, stop trying to connect what was never meant to be connected. Another line. Do not follow Amelia 2.0. Do not meet her again. Do not trust her. Signed. Amelia. The handwriting of the lighthouse Amelia. Ethan's pulse spiked. 2 Amelias, 2 notebooks, 2 timelines, 1 impossible warning. The Amelia he met on the train was not the one he was meant to find. He went to work the next morning, exhausted, overwhelmed, and terrified. He boarded the train out of pure muscle memory. He froze. There was someone sitting in Amelia's seat. Not Amelia, a man. And not just any man. The man from the photograph. Michael, her dead fiancé. Except he wasn't dead. He sat calmly, breathing, reading a newspaper, alive. Michael looked up. Their eyes met. Michael's face tightened, recognition. Fear, then anger. He stood and walked straight toward Ethan. Ethan stepped back. Michael stopped an inch away. Took you long enough, he said coldly. Ethan blinked. I don't. You weren't supposed to be here, Michael growled. Not in this timeline. Ethan's heart hammered. Who are you? Michael leaned in. I'm the man who saves Amelia. He paused. And the man who destroys you. Ethan was frozen. Michael's breath ghosted against his cheek. Every instinct screamed run. But he couldn't move. You don't belong here, Michael whispered. What are you talking about? Ethan stammered. Michael's eyes were sharp, too sharp. Not the eyes of someone confused or lost. The eyes of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Amelia wasn't meant to find you, Michael said. Not here. Not in this version. She wasn't supposed to talk to you. And you weren't supposed to chase her. He leaned closer. You're breaking something. Ethan swallowed hard. Breaking what? Michael smirked, amused by his ignorance. Reality. Michael took a step back, watching Ethan like a threat. Don't come near Amelia again, he said. Not this Amelia. Not any Amelia. I don't even know what's happening. Ethan snapped. Michael's jaw tightened. For a brief second, something like grief crossed his face. Then he said, "There are rules, Ethan. Rules about who meets who, when they meet, how and why, and what happens after." He pointed two fingers at his own chest. "I broke a rule once." He pointed at Ethan. "Now you're breaking it?" Ethan's voice trembled. "What rule?" Michael said two chilling words. "Timeline overlap." The train slowed. Michael stepped off at the next station without looking back. But right before the doors closed, he mouthed one last warning. "She's not yours to save." The doors shut, and Michael was gone. That evening, Ethan walked home restless, repeating Michael's words. Timeline overlap. She's not yours to save. He didn't know what they meant. But something deep inside him whispered. Michael wasn't lying. As he turned onto his street, he stopped dead in his tracks. Someone was sitting on his apartment steps. Amelia. The new Amelia. The version with the blue notebook. She stood when she saw him. "You left my sketchbook on the train." Ethan's chest tightened. She held up the blue notebook. But her expression wasn't angry, or even confused. It was frightened. "I saw what you saw," she said quietly. "You read it, didn't you?" Ethan hesitated. "Yes." She exhaled shakily, hugging the notebook against her chest like a shield. "Then I need to talk to you." They sat on opposite ends of Ethan's couch. The tension was thick, uneasy. Amelia opened the blue notebook, flipping past pages of maps and symbols. "I didn't draw this," she whispered. "Not most of it. Someone else has been adding to my notebook." "Your notebook was green the first time," Ethan said carefully. Amelia's eyes widened. "So you saw that too?" Ethan nodded. A day later, it was blue. She bit her lip. "That happened once before. Last month." He leaned forward. "What happened?" She hugged her knees, trembling slightly. "I woke up with memories I didn't recognize, feelings that weren't mine. I remember being on a train crying, even though that never happened." Ethan's heart pounded. She remembers. "But not in this version." Then she whispered, "I remember you, Ethan, even though we've never met." Amelia closed her eyes, trying to force the words out. "I remember writing letters. Hundreds of them. But I don't write letters. I don't even journal. I remember a man named Michael, but I've never met anyone with that name. I remember standing in a lighthouse during a storm. I can feel the cold. I can hear the thunder." Ethan swallowed. "And I remember you being there," she whispered, holding my hand, and then disappearing. Her forehead touched her palms. "But I don't know if these are dreams or memories from someone else, or—" She stopped, her voice cracked. "Or if I'm losing my mind." Ethan slid closer, voice soft. "You're not losing your mind." She looked up at him, tears forming. "Then what's happening to me?" Ethan opened the blue notebook to the page with the message. "You were supposed to stay away." He showed it to Amelia. "Did you write this?" "No," she whispered. "But I saw it appear, like the ink just showed up." Ethan flipped to the next page. The lighthouse drawing. The silhouette behind Amelia. The caption, "This is where you vanish." Amelia went pale. "I didn't draw that either." He rubbed his temples. "Someone is trying to warn us," she whispered. "Or someone is trying to separate us." A knock on the door startled them both. Ethan's stomach dropped. He opened it slowly. Michael stood there, not angry, not threatening, just exhausted. "Let me in," Michael said. "Both of you are in danger," Amelia gasped. "That's him," she whispered. "I've seen him." "In the memories that aren't mine." Michael stepped inside and shut the door. Then he locked it. All three stood in the dim apartment light. Michael stared at Amelia with a mix of heartbreak and awe. "You're not supposed to exist," he whispered. Amelia flinched. "Excuse me?" He sank into a chair, covering his face with his hands. "I thought the timeline destroyed your version," Michael said. "But it didn't. It copied you." Ethan's voice trembled. "What do you mean copied?" Michael looked up at them. "There are supposed to be fixed points in every timeline. People who appear in all versions. People whose paths cross predictably." He pointed at Ethan. "You're one." He pointed at himself. "So am I." Then he pointed at Amelia. "She's not." Silent. Amelia whispered. "Then what am I?" Michael exhaled shakily. "A divergence that wasn't meant to happen. A life that shouldn't exist. A person created by a broken timeline." He looked at Ethan. "When you met her at the lighthouse, you didn't just break the rules." He paused. "You broke the world." Ethan felt the room spin. "What did I do?" he whispered. Michael gestured toward Amelia. "You made two versions of her collide. Now she remembers the life of the Amelia you weren't supposed to save." Ethan's chest squeezed painfully. "So what happens now?" Michael stood. "You have one choice." He pointed at Amelia. "Let her go, completely. No more talking, no more following her. No more trying to understand." Amelia shook her head violently. "I don't want him to let go." Michael raised a hand. "You don't have a choice. None of us do." Ethan's voice broke. "And if I don't?" Michael looked him dead in the eyes. "Then the universe erases you." Silence sat heavy in Ethan's apartment. Michael's words didn't feel like a threat. They felt like a sentence, a truth. "What does that even mean?" Michael paced, frustrated. "When timelines collide, one has to collapse. If you don't walk away from her, this version of her, your timeline will choose the simplest fix." Amelia's voice wavered. "Which is?" Michael didn't sugarcoat it. "To remove the anomaly. Remove the contradiction. Remove you." Ethan swallowed. "So I just disappear?" Michael nodded, voice solemn. "No pain, no sound. You'll just unhappen." Amelia stood, shaking with anger. "This is insane. I didn't ask to exist in multiple versions. I didn't ask for memories that aren't mine." She pointed at Ethan. "He didn't ask to meet me twice, or lose me twice." Michael's jaw locked. "This isn't about what you want." "Then what is it about?" Ethan snapped. Michael looked at him with something bittersweet, regret, and something deeper. "It's about preserving what's left." Ethan stared at Michael's face. "You've been through this before, haven't you?" Michael looked at Amelia. Then he whispered, "Yes." A chilling truth settled into the room. Michael knew the rules too well because he had broken them once. Michael sat down heavily. "I loved her once too," he said quietly. Amelia froze. "Not you," he clarified. "Not this version. Not the one Ethan knew. Another Amelia, in another timeline." Ethan felt his stomach drop. "And you lost her?" he asked. Michael chuckled dryly. "No, I saved her." His voice cracked. "And the timeline erased me for it." Ethan blinked. "But you're still here." Michael nodded slowly. "They pulled me out before the erasure finished, made me a timekeeper. Someone who watches for broken points. Someone who stops others from making the same mistake." Amelia's voice softened. "You were forced to become this." Michael didn't deny it. "I was given a choice. Serve the timeline, or be erased entirely." He looked at Ethan, eyes haunted. "I don't want to do this to you, but I will if I have to." The lights flickered. All of them froze. A low hum filled the room, like the air vibrating, reality stretching thin. Michael went pale. "No, not yet." Amelia grabbed Ethan's arm. "What's happening?" The collapse has already started, Michael said. You're too close. The timeline thinks you've made your choice. Ethan shook his head violently. I didn't choose anything. The walls distorted, warping like heat waves. Shadows twisted unnaturally. Something was coming. Michael snarled. Run! They bolted out of the apartment building. But the street outside wasn't normal. Streetlights flickered between two versions of themselves. Cars' phase shifted in and out of existence. Buildings rippled like reflections in disturbed water. Ethan grabbed Amelia's hand. You're staying with me, she squeezed back. I'm not losing you a second time, Michael shouted behind them. Stop! Every step you take together makes the collapse worse. Ethan yelled over his shoulder. Then tell us how to fix it, Michael sprinted after them. You can't fix it. You can only choose who remains. The world split again. The street dividing into two separate versions before snapping back. Amelia stumbled. Ethan caught her. She looked at him with terrified clarity. If one of us is the problem, then maybe one of us has to go. He shook his head. No, don't say that. But she was crying now. Ethan, I think I'm the anomaly. The collapse energy surged again, reality buckling inward. Michael screamed, The lighthouse! Get to the lighthouse! That's where it began. The world around them flickered, and then a flash, a roar of wind, and the three of them were standing on the cliffs of the old lighthouse. The exact night Ethan remembered. The storm, the thunder, the cold. It was all the same. Amelia looked around, recognizing it from memories that weren't hers. This is where it happened, she whispered. Michael nodded. Yes, this is where your timelines collided. Ethan grabbed her shoulders gently. I'm not losing you again. Amelia cupped his cheek. You might not have a choice. Lightning cracked across the sky. Michael's voice was swallowed by the wind. You don't understand, Ethan. The timeline didn't just make two Amelias. He pointed at her notebook. It made infinite versions. The truth slammed into Ethan. The memories, the sketches, the changes, Michael nodded. Every Amelia who ever met you, every Amelia who didn't, they're bleeding together. They're forming this one. He looked at her with tragic respect. You are all of them, Amelia staggered back. Everyone, you're a convergence, Michael said. A person made of every version of yourself. She whispered, So I'm not real. Ethan grabbed her hand. No, you're real to me. The ground cracked. The lighthouse beam flickered violently. Amelia pulled the blue notebook from her coat. There's one more page, she said softly. I didn't write it, but I think it's meant for you. She handed it to Ethan. Inside was a final message, ink trembling as though still forming. If you love her, let her go. If you hold her, you both disappear. Choose. The lighthouse beam split the sky, Michael shouted. Ethan, now! Ethan looked at Amelia. Her eyes, filled with every version of her that had ever lived, stared back. Ethan, she whispered, you saved me once. Let me save you now. He shook his head, tears streaming. No, I can't lose you. You won't, she said. Then her voice softened. You'll just remember me differently. The world trembled violently. Michael held out his hand. Ethan, if you let go, she stabilizes. You stay. She stays, but she won't remember this timeline. Lightning struck the water. Amelia stepped closer. And if he doesn't let go, she asked. Michael's face fell. Then he vanishes. And you become a blank convergence. No identity, no memories, nothing. Ethan looked at Amelia. She looked at Ethan. Time waited. Wind howled around them. Then Ethan choked out. I choose you. Amelia's breath hitched. Then let me go. His knees buckled. No. She placed her forehead against his. I exist because of love, but I survive because of release. He sobbed. I can't. You can. She kissed him softly, painfully, like a memory already fading. I'll find you in another version. He closed his eyes, and he let go. The moment he released her hand, the storm stopped, the cracks sealed. The lighthouse glowed steady. Amelia stepped back, smiling sadly. Thank you, she whispered. Then her body dissolved into thousands of shimmering fragments. Each fragment a different Amelia, each whispering a different goodbye. And just like that, she was gone. Ethan collapsed to his knees. Michael stood beside him silently. She's alive, Michael said softly. Just. Not your version, Ethan looked up shattered. Does she remember me? Michael shook his head. She remembered the feeling of you, not the detail. Ethan whispered. That's enough. Michael placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. You saved her, and yourself. Ethan looked at the lighthouse one last time. Will I ever see her again? Michael hesitated, then smiled, sad but hopeful. In another timeline? You already have? Ethan sat on a bench in a park reading a book. A soft voice behind him said, Sorry. Is this seat taken? He looked up. A woman stood there with a blue notebook. Not as Amelia, not exactly, but her smile. Her eyes, the warmth. It was unmistakable. Ethan exhaled. No, it's not taken. She sat beside him, offering her hand. I'm Amelia. He took it gently. I'm Ethan. She smiled. Nice to meet you. And somewhere far beyond the boundaries of one timeline, the universe smiled too.